Coming up on the 2014 FIFA World Cup magazine, we're in Fortaleza, the state capital of Ceará. We meet Mario Jardel, a goal-scoring sensation for clubs across Europe. And we profile Ceará and Fortaleza, the city's two leading football clubs.
Hi, I'm Natalia, and this is the city guide to Fortaleza.
Located in the northeast and with a population of over 2 million, Fortaleza is the fifth largest city in Brazil. Its centre is sprawling with offices and apartment blocks, leaving little trace of the city's early history, the clue to which is in its name. Fortaleza means fortress. The Portuguese first few attempts to settle here in the early 17th century were short-lived, and it was the Dutch who founded what we now know as Fortaleza, when they built Fort Schoenenborsch in 1637. When the Dutch abandoned their Brazilian possessions in 1654, the Portuguese renamed this fort the Fortaleza de Ns da Assunção, and around it grew a city that came to be called Fortaleza. For decades, it's been one of the most popular destinations for Brazilian tourists, but in recent years, Fortaleza has attracted visitors from all over the world. So what attracts so many people to this particular corner of Brazil? A simple question deserves a simple answer, but Fortaleza is far more complex than that. There's one part of the city's skyline that's changing rapidly, and it's thanks to the renovation of Fortaleza's main football stadium, the Estadio Castelao. Built in 1973 and officially known as the Estadio Plácido Alderaldo Castelo, the stadium started to receive a makeover in December 2010. The Castelao will be open for business again at the FIFA Confederations Cup next year, before staging 6 matches at the World Cup itself in 2014. Of the 4 phases of the project, 2 have been completed, and the other 2 are well advanced. Today, there are nearly 1,500 employees on site, among them disabled workers, ex-convicts, and a large number of women. One of the highlights of the stadium is its roof. The workers have been erecting the 60 steel columns, each of which stand over 40 meters high. They'll support the metal roof and help bind together its concrete structure. The roof also boasts transparent sections, which will allow more sunlight to reach the pitch. And the columns are coated in epoxy polyurethane paint to protect them from the salt in the sea air. All the seats will be covered by the new roof, which will also contain a thick layer of insulating material designed to improve spectator comfort. The Castelao's capacity is set to increase to over 67,000, and access to the stadium is also being improved. Come 2014, 4 exclusive bus lanes, a light rail vehicle line and 2 metro stations will make it easier for fans to get to the stadium, to watch the 4 group matches and the 2 games in the knockout phase of the 20th FIFA World Cup. But the building of this stadium is offering much more to the workers than a pay packet at the end of the week. At the end of a shift, some of the workers are swapping their hard hats for a pen and paper and a seat in a classroom. It's all part of a scheme devised by the local organising committee.
I used to run my own company, and I think it's only right that you should give your employees the chance to educate themselves, a chance to grow inside their own environment. The company responsible for delivering the stadium liked the idea, and we're very happy that the workers building the Castelao accepted the offer. It's a way for us to show that we're not here just to build a stadium. We're also helping citizens grow, and that's very important.
The classes, which have been running since the start of the year and are free of charge, run for 2 hours 4 days a week. They cover a variety of subjects, all of which should stand them in good stead once this project comes to an end.
When they first arrived here, they were all scared because many of them didn't even know how to handle a notebook. They would write upside down, turning the notebook to write. They would write in the middle of the page and didn't have any notion of spacing. Today, they pick up their pens and start writing. They're already writing their own names, and I can see changes in the classroom every day. For me, this is extremely satisfying. I can also see that they're very happy. It's very noticeable.
For one pupil, working at the Castelao has a special meaning.
I used to be a footballer and I played here. Today, it's my place of work. It's a great feeling building a new stadium, a World Cup stadium that Brazil didn't have, and I'm helping to build the Castelao. It's also very satisfying to give the workers an opportunity to study. They never had this chance before, because they had to work from a very young age to provide for their families.
Each of them will continue to be the breadwinner once the stadium has been delivered. But having broadened their horizons whilst building the Castelao, all are now in a better position to provide for their dependents in years to come. Football thrives in this beautiful city, and for decades now, 2 teams have dominated. For that reason, Ceará and Fortaleza are the greatest of rivals. Since the inception of the state championship in 1915, Ceará has won 40 titles to Fortaleza's 39. Regional domination is one thing, but neither club has ever been crowned national champions. And sadly, that's not about to change.
There are 2 main football forces in the state of Ceará. Just to give you an idea, each team has approximately 1 million fans, which is huge. Both clubs have the potential to grow within Brazilian football, and if they continue with the right structure, I think they could become 2 major forces in the National League. I believe that football from the state of Ceará ranks 4th or 5th within the whole of Brazil. The state of Rio and Sao Paulo come first, followed by Rio Grande do Sul, Minas, Paraná, and then Ceará, with perhaps Pernambuco. We're a state that's growing in terms of football, and the people here love the game. They're passionate about sports.
Fortaleza went through a good period in 2003, 2005 and 2006, when they were playing in the first division. So in the last 10 years, the club has participated in the highest level of competition in Brazil on 3 occasions. After that, how can I put this? From 2009 onwards, the club lost its way, and everything became very disorganised and we were relegated a few times. But this year the club has addressed the problems and the aim is to return to where we belong.
This is what we're trying to do. I was hired for that reason. I arrived in December and we have a plan. And I have until the end of the year. Part of the plan is to bring in some new players. We're trying to change the old philosophy into a new one, with fresh ideas and a strong plan which will enable us to get back into the second division this year. So far, we're doing well in the State League. And when the National League begins, we'll be playing in the third division. We'll have a strong team and the possibility of signing new players because the regional tournaments are coming to an end. We will strengthen the squad and Fortaleza will get promoted.
Ceará is a great club when we're talking about football from the northeast, but it's difficult to compete against the clubs from the south and the states in the southeast, where the financial investment, profit from television rights and the media interest is huge. But we have enjoyed some success, especially in 2010, when we were promoted to the first division and had a great start. We had a good cup run, which ended when we lost to Corinthians, and our final position in the league that season meant we qualified for the Copa Sudamericana. Then, due to the new signings, we had problems last year and were punished and relegated to the second division. But having played in the top flight and getting the structure and planning of the club right, we hope to return there as soon as possible.
Football in the state of Ceará has been growing in the last few years, in every sense. I've played football in the south, and having spent 5 years there and seen the facilities and infrastructure they have, it's fair to say that football in the state of Ceará is not that far behind. Today, football in Ceará has really developed and is quite modern. In the past, many people would say bad things about Fortaleza and Ceará. But today they think differently. Today they see the state of Ceará as a force in football. And with this development, Ceará as a club is growing. It's attracting more players, so the future looks good.
The rivalry is very big. Here, you are either Fortaleza or you are Ceará. With the rise of Ceará, when we played in the first division of the National League, the fan base grew quite a lot, because we were playing in the top league against the best teams in Brazil. We have a great rivalry here, a beautiful one. When the rivalry stays in the stadium and is judged on the football and which is the better team, then it's beautiful.
And for the players, who are the artists in this spectacle, it's a great feeling to be able to play in a derby. Whether you win, lose or draw, you will never forget that day. The memories will stay with you for life.
On May 13th, Ceará drew 1-1 against Fortaleza in the final's second leg to clinch their 41st state championship. The duel resumes next season. So, if you've got a few days off in Fortaleza in between World Cup matches, how can you spend it? Well, a game of golf is an option now that courses have started to appear all over Brazil. There are now more than 100 across this vast country, but the sport is still very much in its infancy here. Indeed, current estimates put the number of golfers at around 30,000.
Golf is still a young sport in Brazil. Here, football is king. The only place to play golf a few years ago was on private courses, but now we're seeing public golf courses springing up all over where tourists can come and play. We still have a long way to go, but I think the sport is definitely becoming more popular in Brazil.
The constant wind and the narrow fairways at this course will test the most experienced golfers, and there are plenty of footballers who fall into that category. The owners of this complex expect to be busy in 2014, and they'd relish the opportunity to welcome some special guests.
The hotel is perfect for an international team from any country. Why? Because it is isolated, has training grounds nearby, and has the golf course right beside it. It offers the team isolation, which in turn gives you tranquility and helps you prepare for your matches. And it just so happens, this hotel has attracted quite a bit of interest from some of the countries that have qualified for the FIFA World Cup.
If you're feeling a little more adventurous, you could try kite surfing. With miles of empty beaches, tropical temperatures and guaranteed wind, Fortaleza is a kitesurfing paradise. And don't be put off if you've never tried it before. Lessons are readily available, particularly for beginners. So why not give it a go?
Fortaleza is perfectly placed for kitesurfing because the wind is ideal here. The sea is warm with temperatures of around 25 to 26 degrees, and it's very safe. There are no sharks, jellyfish, or anything that can harm you. You can enjoy being in the sea, and for aquatic wind sports this is fundamental. You can relax because even if you fall off or go too far out to sea, the wind will blow you back to the beach, making learning this sport very safe here. And it's for these reasons we're becoming very well known as the place to kitesurf.
Deeply bonded to the northeastern coastal cultures of Brazil is a stringed instrument known as the Rabeca. With the rise of Brazilian world music bands and pop groups in the 90s, the Rabeca gained recognition and popularity as an instrument of Brazilian authenticity and tradition. However, up until then, it remained in the shadows of popular culture and music.
The Rabeca was very popular during the 50s. Then came the decline. At the moment, though, we are seeing a return of the instrument. There's been a huge increase in young musicians incorporating the Rabeca into their bands that play Brazilian music.
It's likely the Rabeca arrived on Brazilian soil with Portuguese settlers in the 16th century. And unlike the violin, there's no universal form of construction, and different instruments may vary widely in shape, size and materials used.
There are no rules on how to make a Rabeca. The important thing is that it has 4 strings and plays 4 notes. From then on, it can be made from tin, saucepans, PVC pipes or any type of wood. So what we get is a sound that is very unique and important to the traditional popular culture through the whole of the Northeast, and not just Ceará.
Each musician builds the instrument to a particular tuning. And with the help of musicians such as Francisco, the Rabeca is having a renaissance.
The Rabeca was only played by old people, older than me, but now there are youngsters playing it because they are learning about our culture, a culture that is evolving and increasing. More people want to learn, so we must rescue this work, this culture. It's something I will work on.
Que lindo, beleza. Beleza.
In his hammock, Mario Jardel is anything but a threat to opposing defenders. During his heyday, though, when Super Mario starred for Portuguese giants Porto and Sporting, the striker was one of the hottest properties in Europe. Now 38 and in the early throes of retirement, he can look back on a career that also took him to Turkey, England, Argentina and Australia.
How important was football for me? Well, when I was small, in my childhood, I already knew what I wanted, and that was to be a footballer. But it was a huge struggle. It was very tiring. I remember leaving home for school at 5 in the morning and getting back at 11. Then I would quickly eat my food and rush out to go training. I started with the Ceará junior team and progressed through their youth system. Then I moved to Ferroviario because my whole family supports them. I remember being in school one day, and the headmistress told me that Eurico Miranda, Vasco's president at the time, had been in touch, and he wanted me to go for a trial at Vasco da Gama. I left school full of joy, and that's when it all started in Rio, when I was 16. And that's it, football's my life.
Jardel was one of Europe's most prolific strikers. In a 7-year period from 1996, the Brazilian scored an incredible 267 goals in just 274 games. Such potency in front of goal earned him 3 Player of the Year awards in Portugal, and he twice picked up the coveted Golden Shoe as the continent's leading marksman.
I'm a striker, and everybody knows that if you don't score goals, questions will be asked. So I really tried, and I had 12 years playing at the highest level because I knew the demands were high, especially because my salary was high. I scored almost 500 goals in my career, with more than 400 scored in Europe. To me, that's the joy, the satisfaction that makes me sleep well. I kept my goal-scoring average quite high over 10 years, and I was rewarded with material things, self-pride, and personal achievements. And this is a little bit of my history.
As successful as he was at club level, Jardel never really made an impression on the international scene. With Romario, Bebeto, Ronaldo, Rivaldo and Ronaldinho also on the scene, he was restricted to just 10 appearances in the colours of the Seleção.
When you look at what I achieved, any other player would have been part of a national team. I was Europe's top goalscorer during 2002, and yet I didn't take part in that World Cup. I ask myself to this day, was it the will of God that it happened that way? I don't hold any grudges against anyone, but I can't forget what happened. Can you imagine being one of the world's top strikers and not being part of your national team? It's not easy to forget, but I have to put it behind me.
In 2009, with his playing days nearing an end, Jardel decided to return to where it all began, rejoining Ferroviario 20 years after he'd left. He finally hung up his boots last year, calling time on a glittering career that was sadly tarnished by some off-field misdemeanours a decade or so ago.
I regret having used drugs and hurting people because of them, especially my children. But today I am well, and there's nothing better than being respected in society again. I want to use my suffering as an example to others. I want to use what I went through to help others in my city, and to help myself overcome that bad period which turned my life upside down. My life has always been about football, and now that I've stopped, I have to admit that it really hurts. It's a very bad feeling, knowing that your career has or is coming to an end. You feel this huge emptiness, but you have to be strong and find the strength to start again. I pray to God, and my wife has really helped me with a lot of problems I had, especially dealing with my career coming to an end, because it feels like a knife through the chest when I have to watch footballers on TV. Sadly, the career of a player is short, and we get old. So I've decided to take a coaching course, so I can pass on everything I've learned during my football career. I want to qualify and become a good coach, a good teacher, re-enter the world of football and teach those people who want to learn. So it is sad that I've stopped playing, but I'm starting a new era in my life. I'm very happy, and I want to send a big hug and best wishes to all of you.
After a difficult 12 months or so, Super Mario appears to be back on track. And it's great to hear that the next generation looks set to benefit from his considerable knowledge. Coming up next time, we're in the Amazon forest in the state capital of Amazonas, Manaus. We weather the conditions to look at the state of football there. And we take in the Parinchin Folklore Festival. Until then, goodbye.